Now, for a look at today's big stories, I'm joined by the media writer for The Australian, Sophie Ellsworth. Always glad to see you, and Deputy Executive Director of the Institute of Public Affairs, Daniel Weil. Welcome to you both. Daniel, let's start with you. Funding stoush broken out between some of the states and the federal government. New South Wales Premier Chris Minns, he's demanding to know why his state is $1.6 billion worse off while Victoria and WA have got increases. Have a listen to Minns. He didn't hold back today.
If the previous regime was in place, we would have got 94 cents in the dollar. Now we're looking at a situation where we're going to get 86 cents in the dollar, and a lot of that money is going to be sent to Western Australia, which is chock full of cash from the mining boom, or down to Victoria, which is now a welfare state receiving a whole bunch of money from the pockets of New South Wales families.
We always have these state-by-state arguments, but it would appear that Victoria has done extremely well. Now, we know Victoria's broke.
Yep.
I saw the PM today saying, well, this is an independent body that works out who gets what from the GST, but the federal government has a fair bit of influence. What do you think is going on here?
Well, that's right. Victoria's doing well out of the GST because it's doing bad as an economy. You're only going to get more money as a state if your economy is going backwards because it's based on your revenue-raising capacity. Now, we know Victoria's revenue-raising capacity is going backwards because the economy is going backwards. We've had the Assistant Treasurer a couple of weeks ago of Victoria say, well, Victoria is the nation's economic engine room. It's not. It is the ball and chain of the Australian economy. It has the highest taxes, it's the most indebted, it's got the highest energy prices rising at the fastest rate. We've seen 500,000 homes lose power. We've seen businesses move interstate because the government can't guarantee the reliability. And more will go. It's the only state with a net outflow of businesses. And the only plan that the state government has is to go cap in hand to Canberra asking for a bailout. And you've got the Premier celebrating it as some kind of a victory. It shows they've got their priorities all wrong.
So the state of Victoria is technically broke. I think the interest payment on the debt, something like $24 million a day. Yep. And they're going to have a budget in a couple of months' time, and Tim Pallas, the Treasurer, will probably walk away after that. The people of Victoria don't seem to be angry about debt. Has the fundamental fear of debt changed among voters?
I think it has, but it's changing. I think when people see the quality of their social services starting to go backwards, when they are seeing this deindustrialisation, they're finding it harder to get jobs. All you have to do is go around Melbourne and Victoria and the suburbs to see that life is just much harder than it used to be, whether it's with infrastructure or access to basic amenities. And that's because of this massive population growth, unplanned migration, and Victoria is ground zero for that, without the proper planning. And what's worse is that they don't have the assets to sell off to fix it like they did in the Kennett era. So we're going to need real deep reform to fix this state.
Sophie, I, like you, travel to Sydney up and back a few times, every couple of months. When you go there now, and you're from Victoria, and you walk through these brand new train stations on brand new trains that the New South Wales government has got, you're embarrassed to be from Victoria. We look like, a rundown house that no one's got any money to fix.
Well, I guess they would argue that's why they're doing the suburban rail loop.
Oh, for God's sake.
They're potentially
from nowhere to nowhere.
Nowhere to nowhere. They might put in a train to the airport. That's another thing, Steve. You get into Sydney, you jump on a train, and you're in the CBD within, 10, 15 minutes.
And then when I got back here, I had to pay $32.50 to catch a bus from the airport to the city. And it dumps me at Southern Cross Station. I can't get to the train station I want to go to.
Yeah. So they've got a long way to...
on a train, but, that's the best way.
Well, you mix with the real people, Steve. You're one of the people.
It is so obvious when you move from one state to another.
When the public transport doesn't work properly and it's not accessible enough to people, you have problems because then you've got everyone in cars. And this is why Melbourne also has problems. Even the West Gate, all the work going on the West Gate. Now, my parents live where I have to go on the West Gate. They've been working on that, Steve, for how long? And it's still got years and years to go.
Over budget and out of time.